The moment of silence went a little longer because I muted myself. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Rebel Roundup on this Remembrance Day, where we honor our veterans who came before us, who paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of Canadian values at home and abroad. I'm joined today by my friend, my very best friend, actually, in Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Well, good morning, Sheila Gunn Reid. Oh my goodness, where is my microphone?
You're fine. I can still hear you just fine.
Okay. I just looked down and my kids must have stolen it, but we'll use this one today.
Yeah, it's good.
Good morning, Sheila Gunn Reid, and good day, Canada, on this most solemn occasion. We have a lot of Remembrance Day news coming up today.
We sure do. We'll tell everybody how they can get involved in the show. I know that it is a holiday in some parts of the country, I think my own included, but we realize that many of you do not have the day off. So we're working because the news doesn't stop. And we thought we would make sure that since the show goes live at 11 o'clock Alberta time, we would dedicate our first minute to the moment of silence in honor of Canada's vets. If you want to get involved in the show and you're watching us on Rumble, you can leave a Rumble rant over there. That's the paid chat. And if it's over the $5 US cutoff, we'll read it on air. But regular viewers of the show know that we frequently, almost always, read the chats that fall underneath that. Same rules apply if you're watching us over on YouTube. Their paid chat is called a super chat. There's also an option to thank us in the comments if you didn't get a chance to watch the live version of the show. All right, let's get into some of the messages on this day of remembrance from our political leaders. Let's start with, of course, Prime Minister Mark Carney. He's got about a minute long message that we saw posted to, I think, his YouTube page.
Today we honor the service of the brave women and men who answered the call. Those who sacrificed years away from loved ones. Those who returned from combat forever changed. And those who never came home. In an increasingly dangerous and divided world, remembrance is also vigilance. Our sovereignty and our security, and those of our allies, are not guaranteed. The women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces protect them every single day. They rush to communities as wildfires and floods roll in. They airlift life-saving aid across waters. They stand on guard in the Arctic, and they defend NATO's eastern flank. When people see a maple leaf on a sleeve or on the back of a truck, they see hope, and they get help. Today, as we pause to remember those acts of heroic service, we remember that our rights, our freedoms, our way of life were fought for and are won every day by Canadians who answer the call, lest we forget.
All great stuff, but rings insincere when you watch the Veterans Affairs Committee, where veterans are testifying about this government offering to kill them instead of providing help to them. And Mark Carney can say, well, that was the old boss, but you're the new boss and you've done nothing to make it any better.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And interesting that he would bring up NATO in particular
Of course.
in that speech. You know, Al bringing up the relationships that he's desperately seeking in Europe and prioritizing those relationships. Real interesting that he would bring that up at this time.
He just had to make it just slightly political. He just couldn't leave it alone.
Yeah.
On the flip side, let's go to Pierre Poilievre, who should be our prime minister, but is not. And this, good grief, what's happening upstairs? This is a truly prime ministerial message from Pierre Poilievre. He writes, today, more than a century after the guns fell silent in Europe, Canadians across the country and around the world pause to reflect. Our military history is as brilliant and storied as Canada itself, from simple farmers defending their homes at Queenston and Ridgeway, to the tenacious resolve of our forces in the world wars, to those who upheld our nation's honor in Korea, in Afghanistan, and on peacekeeping missions across the globe. It is a legacy of professionalism, duty, and courage, of sailors, soldiers, and aviators giving their all, and often their lives, for a common cause, a story of adversity, struggle, and triumph. For generations, we have marked this day with prayer, gratitude, and most of all, remembrance, because as proud as our history is, we know the high price at which these victories came. This and every Remembrance Day, we thank our veterans and present-day military members for their service on sea, land, and air. And we honor the memories of all those who fell in our nation's war. May we all, in our own small ways, carry on their selfless spirit, lest we forget. That was good. That was great.
Nice, beautiful messaging. Beautiful
Yeah.
messaging. Yes.
Yeah. And yet, Joe Warmington was at the Remembrance Day ceremony in Toronto. And this one's going to drive you right off the rev limiter, Elise. Because they gave a land acknowledgement and then a reminder of slavery on Remembrance Day in Toronto. These people just can't help themselves. Let's watch. I'm so glad Joe was there.
Philip, I'm his chief of protocol. I wish to invite cadets Flight Sergeant Minyalov and Warrant Officer 2nd Class Rainford to share the land and ancestral acknowledgement with us.
We acknowledge the land we are meeting on as our traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands.
We acknowledge all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery.
We didn't have slavery.
What?
Are people yelling at them? I hope they are.
It sounded like it in the background. And thanks so much for Joe Warmington for catching that and bringing this to our attention. Land and ancestral acknowledgements. So we are building off of the bad idea of land acknowledgements and then lumping in ancestral acknowledgements and then adding slavery, which Canada PS didn't participate in, at an event that is to honor our war dead. Like
Yeah.
who approved this agenda? They should be fired. They should be fired.
Olivia Chow, of course, of there's a Gaza genocide fame, right? And who refuses to go to Jewish cultural celebrations in Toronto for fear of offending the Hamasniks who run wild in the streets every single week. They're, I mean, imagine being there with your Korean War vet grandpa. He's 89, 90, 91 years old. He's struggling to get through this, just to last, to get through this. This is physically trying on the older veterans to get through these ceremonies. And they got to sit through a land acknowledgement and a public shaming for slavery that we didn't participate in.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Outrageous.
Yes.
Outrageous.
Egregious. Yes.
But don't expect anybody in the federal government to do the right thing by our veterans. I mean, I pointed out how they're treated at the current Veterans Affairs. And the Veterans Affairs Minister, she says that she respects the independence of the court in the poppy ban decision. So Veterans Affairs Minister Jill McKnight, who looked like a deer in headlights when she was asked, how many veterans has your homelessness program actually taken off the streets? She was like, and then how many veterans has your veterans employment program actually rescued from unemployment? She didn't know, but she sure has an opinion on a Nova Scotia judge banning poppies from his courtroom. So, and again, it was a hypothetical example, just like the child abuse image decision from last week, which was a hypothetical. What if somebody who is 18 had pictures of his my underage girlfriend on his phone? We need leeway to deal with those people, as if that's actually the going concern. And so that ruling, based on a hypothetical situation that didn't exist, struck down the mandatory minimum sentences for people who have child abuse images. So this decision from this Nova Scotia judge is also based on a hypothetical that didn't exist. They're just building up these straw men to torch them all down. The judge, earlier this week, the heads of Nova Scotia's Supreme and provincial courts expressed their support for judges who ban court staff from pinning poppies on their robes during proceedings. The judges gave an example of a non-veteran, and we say example, but totally hypothetical. Non-veteran charged with assault of a veteran walking into a courtroom where staff were wearing poppies, suggesting it could make the accused doubt the neutrality of the process. The poppy is a powerful symbol of remembrance for all those who have served and sacrificed on behalf of Canada, and something that I wear with pride, McKnight said. As the directive originates from the judiciary, we respect their independence and cannot comment further. It's
interesting. Crazy. For a judiciary that's suffering from reputational management problems, this is just another example of how wrong they're able to get it within their cloistered circles. From Minister Jill McKnight here, her message couldn't be more different from Premier Scott Moe, who tweeted, in 2023, our government passed the Saskatchewan Remembrance Observance Act to ensure all employees are able to wear a poppy in the workplace if they so choose from November 1st to November 11th. While the Court of King's Bench has jurisdiction to determine appropriate attire, our government feels wearing a poppy shows respect to our service members who have defended our nation's freedoms and system of government and continue to do so today, and therefore should be allowed in the courtroom. Amen, Premier Scott Moe. Amen.
Well, and I just dug up this post from Frank Caputo, who's a Conservative MP, who was a lawyer who made arguments at the Supreme Court And he says, I wore my poppy always, including in the Supreme Court. When I gowned, I even saw a judge or two wear one. We have freedom to be governed by the rule of law rather than a tyrannical state because people shed blood for our country. We should never forget this, including in the courtroom.
Exactly this.
Exactly.
Exactly this. Yes. It just goes to show you, the capture of our current judicial system in Canada, that they would get something as simple as this wrong.
Yeah, I think Aaron Gunn had a post about it too. I'm just trying to dig it up. He says, okay, I found it. I'm just going to put in the chat, Olivia. Aaron Gunn, Conservative MP from BC, says the poppy is not a political statement. This is another ridiculous and dumb ruling by a Canadian judge. Yeah. It's nice to hear the Conservatives talking like this, actually.
Like
it's
just a
great.
little bit of truth
spicy.
Goes a long way. Yeah.
He says the poppy is a symbol of remembrance and respect for those who serve, sacrifice, and continue to represent Canada in uniform today. It transcends politics, partisanship, and ideology, and it has done so for over 100 years. Most importantly, the poppy is a reminder for all those who came before us. A reminder of all those who came before us, who sacrificed so much for the freedoms and prosperity we enjoy today. Lest we forget. It's exactly it. It's exactly it. The only people making this political are crazy people. And I guess we're including judges in that now. Agreed.
Ideologically captured people who believe that the poppy is a symbol of, some sort of, what would it be? Oppression or non-neutrality in their hallowed spaces. The poppy is a symbol that every Canadian should should get behind. And, I just think that any judge that suggests that the poppy is anything other than a symbol, an enduring symbol of Canada's freedom, is displaying the exact reasons why they shouldn't be a judge.
Well, and on the flip side, I would entirely bet that the judge would not take issue with his court staff wearing, let's say, a Pride Progress pin.
Interesting. Right? Other political, really,
which is clearly political.
Sure. Interesting.
This next story from David Puglisi is wild. But I saw this and I could not believe what I was reading. He says, the Canadian military, and this is from the Ottawa Citizen, the Canadian military will rely on an army of public servants to boost its ranks by 300,000 because there was a promise to increase our military presence to the Americans, right? Federal public service would be trained to shoot guns, drive trucks, and fly drones, according to a Defense Department directive. I can't even.
These are public servants who routinely have taxpayer-funded struggle sessions because people use the wrong pronouns for them.
Right.
Good luck with that. We're going to give those people guns? Are you what?
We can't get them to go into the office.
And you think they're going to show up and do outdoor training with real weapons, hard work? Are you okay? You know what?
We're going to have the Fred Hans of the world defending Canada. That's what you want? You were going to turn them into the National Guard?
Do let us remember that our public service has spent the last 8 years attracting disabled people, gender diverse people that fall on the DEI. We are going to give all of the DEI hires guns to stock the reserves, to staff the reserves.
I reiterate, these people are launching labor disputes because they have to go into the office.
Yeah, they don't want to because their cat has separation anxiety, and these are the people that are going to be defending our nation.
They can't deliver your mail. They can't deliver your mail. You can't get a passport. everything they touch turns to a disaster. And Mark Carney's solution is, you know what? Uniform these people up.
We're we're going to repurpose. We're going to repurpose these people. Okay.
These are the people who dealt with phantom honking, the emotional injury of phantom honking, because the convoy rolled into their boring town.
To their privacy bubble. To their privacy bubble. Yes. Sounds like a great plan and exactly what the government of Canada would do to solve a crisis in recruiting in our armed forces. And best of luck to them. Best of luck.
Gosh. Like, how do you have an armed forces after this? I don't know how you do after this. And the regular guys in the armed forces, God love them, who joined for the right reasons. They don't get paid enough. They don't get treated well. They can't get health care. They can't get mental health help. They just get a VA worker who's offering them homicide on the other end of the line. They can't get access to experimental treatments like psychedelics or low-dose psilocybin. They just get SSRIs, which one of the side effects is self-harm at best. They can't, right? Like, they can't get help with anything. And don't worry, though, the cavalry's here. All the people who work 1 day a week at the post office
are listen, they're gonna come and take your jobs. Again, best of luck to the government of Canada for this brilliant, brilliant plan.
It's so perfectly Canadian. It's like, it's just so perfectly Canadian. The people who think that my hunting rifle is a problem are going to be handling actual military grade firearms.
That's what they believe. Yeah. The people that want gender reassignment surgery are gonna get their hands on military grade firearms. Yeah.
So
sounds
Brian, yeah, sounds great. Brian Passifume, who writes over at the National Post, Calgary Herald, and the Sun, Post Media. He's one of the good guys over there, by the way. He decided to visit Canada Public Servant Reddit. I am not a Reddit user. Sometimes I'll poke around in there just to see, and then I'm like, nope, that's just like if an STD were a website. That's what
girl. I was just about to say, when I open Reddit, I break out in hives.
Right.
I'm allergic.
So he went on a bit of an internet safari into public service Reddit, and he wanted to see their thoughts on David Puglisi's article on the CAF bolstering their ranks by press ganging federal bureaucrats. Staying admirably on brand, their biggest concern was that their military service wouldn't be pensionable.
So non-pensionable military service. So where's the incentive? Is it gonna be an internal draft? Good luck. Hire the public service employees to support the recruiting efforts and engage people that are interested in a military career. Maybe even increase pay, benefits, and support services to the serving members to make the job competitive in the actual employment market. Now,
that's not wrong.
Right.
But his reason for not wanting to participate is like, where's my pension?
My pension? Don't you dare think about taking away my pension.
Also, they're scared about not getting the good benefits that they get now as a public servant. They're worried about getting military health care, and they're like, ew, no. And it's funny because it would be the people in some instances tasked with administering military health care, like VA bureaucrats. They're like, ew, we don't want to get the same healthcare we give to the veterans. I shouldn't be laughing. I should be laughing, but it's friggin' comical.
No, it is. It is, because they're expecting us to give up the sweetest gig in Canada to what? Defend Canada's freedom? No way. No way, guys.
And get their gross benefits. It says medical coverage would be provided for their annual military service, but that time would not count towards their pensions, the directive pointed out. And the guy's like, I'm out.
He's like, there's no way. I won't do it. It's not me.
What do you mean? Look at the bottom one. What do you mean? You don't think Janice, the middle-aged EC, is going to be sniping Russians in the 2028 World War? Like I said, the Fred Hans of the world.
is so accurate.
On the front lines. I guess you know that all their sniping about getting Canada involved in Ukraine. Careful what you wish for.
Oh,
You just might get
wouldn't,
it.
but how much would I pay to see plane loads of Ottawa bureaucrats just get rounded up and shipped off to Ukraine? I mean, I'd pay actual dollars to see
Right.
that.
Now all of a sudden, after they've been saying that we should send our boys to war, they've got to go to war.
I mean, that it's actually it's a master stroke. It's a master stroke. If the Conservatives get in, they must.
They should do this. They honestly should do this. The comments are just keep getting better. Let's go through some more.
Okay.
One guy says, I would not trust 98% of our colleagues with a rifle. And the one says, I would not trust 98% of our colleagues with a stapler. And then this one goes, a manager back in my old department actually injured himself playing around with the director's hole puncher once in the office. Or they keep going about their pensions. Volunteer to spend non-pensionable. This is their big thing. Non-pensionable time in the armed forces when tens of thousands of public servants are living paycheck to paycheck. And many are taking second jobs because they can't make ends meet due to the increasing cost of living and sub-inflation wage increases. That's because there's too many of you. The size and scope of government is actually driving inflation. You might want to look in the mirror and say, who's doing it?
I'm going to do
many of us.
you could seriously, you could fix this by quitting and getting a job outside the public sector.
The size and scope of government is a key driver of inflation.
One out of five Canadians are employed by government. You think that doesn't make a difference? Of course it does.
And he's like, what? We can't keep up with, our wages can't keep up with inflation. And it's like, well, you're the inflation. It's you. Have the people in charge fully lost the plot at this point? I think everybody has lost the plot, including this guy who can't make the connection. Like, he just can't make it. Like, we're so close. He's complaining about the issue, but he doesn't know it's like that.
That he's causing it. Yes.
Right. It's like David reaching out to, or Adam reaching out to God, and his finger is bent, right? And God's is outstretched, and Adam's is bent. And it's like, if you just straighten it, you would touch. And
you would get it.
Yeah, you would get it. You're so close.
So close.
Can we just stop pretending and start the floggings already? Well, okay. Oh gosh. Okay. There's more. Anyway, so I'll stop because that's fair enough. But that was a delight. And after all of their warmongering, they're gonna get it.
Couldn't happen to a better bunch of people.
Right.
We should all be cheering for this. Yeah.
Good luck to you, Fred Hahn.
Could you imagine Fred Hahn? I hope they ship him direct to Palestine, just direct into the Middle East. Fred Hahn would do real well there, convincing.
Exactly. You know what?
Locals.
Yep. You want to free Gaza? Guess what? Now's your opportunity, Fred. Let's hit an ad break. We'll be right back on the other side with ostrich farm news, the United Nations Climate Change Conference being extra hypocritical, and some other things.
Your grandpa was a great man. He fought for the freedoms and rights you hold in your hand. Never take them for granted. Keep your freedom passport close. Remember, son, Grandpa did this for you. Know your rights. Know your freedoms. Get your freedom passport today.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available, and it's an all-Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca today.
Gun bans make great distraction.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
I've never noticed the name on the NFA card that they have there, and it's Sir John A. Like, that's a little bit of Easter eggy trolling there.
Nice little
Nice.
touch, guys.
We were going to talk a little bit about the Saskatchewan Party AGM, but I think we'll just save it for the show, like the gun show this week, if you want to. Just save it all for there.
Please, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but
okay.
hey, this is a great time to remind everybody to tune into the gun show this week, because was it a time? We'll talk all about it there.
Yeah, we'll talk all about it there. It airs 7 Mountain on Wednesdays. It sits behind the Rebel News Plus paywall, but we usually have free clips out by the weekend, and the audio version is always free. So there's a price point there for everybody. Now, as you know, we are under a biomedical tyranny right now, and we have been since at least 2020. It's not getting any better. They can execute your livestock without evidence. And it seems like evidence-based policy, it feels like it's been gone forever, but really it's only been gone since like December of 2019. David Creighton, he's an independent journalist, actually asked Danielle Smith, our premier, in an exclusive interview about what unfolded at Universal Ostrich Farms, where I think 330, I think, is the sort of the final number of otherwise healthy ostriches were executed at the hands of the state after they were deemed guilty without any sort of proof. These birds were exposed to avian flu 10 months ago. Some died then, the rest recovered. No birds have died of avian flu since that time, and in particular in the 6 weeks that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency had care and control of the property, no birds came down with avian flu. They refused to test and then carried out a cull. And the scenes coming out of the farm have been quite horrific, especially if you care about property rights. And anyways, David Creighton asked Premier Danielle Smith about the ostrich cull. I haven't seen this, so we're going to react together.
Right. And final question. This is something very, very close to my heart. What was your reaction to the brutal, and I can't say it any other way, the brutal killing of hundreds of ostriches at a farm in Edgewood, BC, Universal Ostrich Farms? I saw you were questioned about that about 6 or 7 weeks ago. I thought your response was quite reasonable. Instead of saying, let's look at this, why don't we test them? Why are they just refusing to budge on this? And of course, they're still refusing to even test the tissues of these dead carcasses, which they immediately have tried to hide. But the same thing is potentially could happen in Alberta. Alberta has been subject to culling orders at poultry farms, as BC has. Tens of millions of chickens have been killed at the hands of the CFIA because of their stamping out policy. And it's interesting. I did a lot of research on this because this story became very, very close to my heart, became very close to the people on the farm. And I discovered that even the World Health Organization, even the World Organization for Animal Health, which the CFIA is constantly appealing to, they are saying, no, stamping out is just not rational. It doesn't make any sense. Quarantine first, separate the sick animals, try to save the herd. And they're actually suggesting that maybe the antibodies created with herd immunity are useful. So it's like Canada, the CFIA is completely out of step with even the globalists who are saying this policy has gone too far. It's pushing up the price of poultry, the price of beef, the price of eggs. How did you feel about it, and what's your response to potentially this continuing in not just BC but potentially Alberta?
Well, first of all, I would say that policies don't come out of nowhere, and so part of the reason for what may be perceived to be an extreme overreaction is that avian flu is, and this particular strain that they're concerned about is deadly, and not just to birds, but also to other animal species. I think I was trying to look it up. What I think is H5N1, and I think that I had just recently read that there's, I think, half of the population of seals in this one area have died because of exposure to this particular virus. So it's very serious that you don't want it to spread, and so I understand that. You also have to look at what the approach is of the producers, and what I have seen is that when there have been these kinds of outbreaks, most producers are very supportive of making sure that the threat is eradicated. We have had instances where that has occurred, and barns have had to be eradicated, and herds have had to be eradicated. And so I always want to defer to what the owner would say, because the owner is going to be the one that because we do value property rights in Alberta, and we do have a policy around compensation. The owner would be the one that I would be concerned about. Are they supportive of that move? In this particular case, what I didn't understand is why didn't they take the Americans up on their offer to transport the birds and test them? There seemed to be an appetite to do that. We have a collaboration with the federal government in the US around health issues. That was a bit of a mystery to me. I always want to see if there's a better way, because if I understand this particular case, the virus had already gone through. Several animals had died, but the ones who didn't might actually have had some kind of natural immunity, and the antibodies might be helpful in trying to find some kind of remedy or vaccine. So that seemed to be a compelling argument to me. It's not what the court decided, but I would say that I'm watching these kinds of cases very closely to see if there's a better way to do it. There is also, I think, part of the reason why there's a bit of a different discussion around an animal like an ostrich versus chickens. Chickens, I think, are already set to slaughter after 90 days. So it's not a long, they don't have a long life. And I believe with cattle, most of them go to market before 30 months as well. So I think that that's part of the reason why replacing those herds, there's more acceptability in the producer market. But with ostriches, they can live to 70 years. So I think that this particular case, sadly, I wish they'd found a different outcome there. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same. I'm a little bit mystified about why they didn't take the Americans up on their offer. I think that might have been a good second way.
Certainly better than the outcome as it was, which has been devastating for the family, the farm. I don't know if that farm will ever.
Okay. I think that's good. She's right. Now, could they have transported, if the farmers had made a deal with the Americans for someone to take the animals, could they have transported them out of the country? Likely not, because of the quarantine rules. So the fate of the livestock would still lie in the hands of the CFIA, who were on a mission to make sure that these birds were dead.
Yes. Yeah. And the CFIA is proving to be an agency that, number one, has gone too far, but number two has sort of mischaracterized their mandate, because unlike chickens and unlike beef, these ostriches weren't being used for food. They were actually being used for research purposes. So if the CFIA, and they are, insists that these ostriches were a risk, well, they were a risk to upset some of the misconceptions that CFIA has been promoting. Like, this is just gross. Like, this is just disgusting that this happened. It is unforgivable. Truly, truly. If they were interested in research, keeping Canadians safe, they would have let these birds live, and they would have let the eggs, because I mean,
eggs.
They took the eggs that had no risk to anyone. They're sealed in an egg. They were no risk to anyone, and they confiscated those as well. So I mean, the CFIA, if they're wondering why they're the most unpopular federal agency in Canada right now, it is because they have mishandled this in every way imaginable.
Right. I mean, they have killed 9 million birds in British Columbia in the last couple of years because of the avian flu outbreak. Those are 9 million commercial birds. So if you're wondering why the cost of chicken is so high,
oh my word,
that has something to do with it. And so what? These birds could have held the cure for the next 9 million birds. Like,
sure.
The solution is not just to kill your way out of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the other things that we must consider is, the CFIA here is trying to control nature, just like the crazy climate alarmists are trying to control the weather. They want every part of nature to be controlled and approved by them. And, before the CFIA lost its way, these types of things came and went through our natural ecosystems. There are checks and balances. Mother Nature has checks and balances for everything she does. And instead, the CFIA has proclaimed itself smarter and the moral superior to Mother Nature. And I think that that is very, very dangerous. When a government agency says, right, no, we know better. We know better. We are going to manage our way out of this. Okay.
I'm just, as someone who cares about the health of the land, I look at how they're even cleaning up these birds, and they're just scarring with skid steers, just scarring the land. They didn't get turf tires, none of that stuff. They're stripping the earth where these birds were, and it's just vindictive.
They ruined the lives of those farmers in Edgewood, BC. You think they're going to give a singular crap about harming the land? They don't give a singular care about the land, the farmers, or anything other than their policy, which has clearly gone way, way too far.
And I think there's an underlying thing in all of this where we're not supposed to recognize that natural immunity is a thing anymore.
Right, that nature will heal itself always. That nature will heal itself always.
And that people who got COVID had natural immunity to that first strain. And that those people should have been left alone. Like, we're just supposed to pretend that natural immunity is not a scientific thing that has been recognized for a very long time. We're just we're not doing that anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they have very, very high paid consultants, Sheila Gunn Reid, that tell them that there is a better way. And this, I mean, you just saw that better way is by destroying a farm, trampling private property rights, and decimating a herd of animals that could live 70 years. 70 years, was it?
Yeah, 70 years. Just still on this topic, I'm just going to dig up. I wrote about it today. The scientist who couldn't handle a simple question. And instead hid behind the old blockaroo. The lady who...
was this Rasmussen?
Rasmussen, who was quoted in an NBC article about how the only way to deal with the ostriches, who are quite resistant actually to infectious disease. That's why they're used in research. They have a different immune system than poultry because they're ratites. She said the only way to be sure that the infection is gone is to just kill them all. And her name is Dr.
Angela Rasmussen
from the university.
Yes, she's a PhD, a virologist at the Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization at the University of Saskatchewan.
So Drea asked her a question the other day about, because in this article she's quoted written by somebody over at NBC, where they just go after Drea in there without ever, of course, speaking to Drea, anything like that. Drea says to Dr. Angela Rasmussen, well, how much money have you gotten from the feds for your research? Block? So I thought, heck,
let's go look.
There's something there. Sheila's going to go look. And wouldn't you know it, it's like $125 million.
It is an insane amount of money. And VIDO, the Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization at the University of Saskatchewan, was one of the most active and
Vicious.
vicious promoters of the COVID vaccine. This is an organization that has really deep ties to the mainstream media. Dr. Angela Rasmussen is given a ton of time on the mainstream
Look, there's
media.
$46 million right there. And
It's
then let's keep
wild.
going.
This is only from
$76 million. That's
that was
in
only from 2022 to 2025. This one, $76 million, 2022 to 2025. Here's another one. Like, there are a lot of academics getting obscenely wealthy on this funding from the federal government.
So just if we go back, just go back on that page of grants, and I want to show you the timeline of the grants here, because it is in their interest to scaremonger people.
Yes.
So they're given, this would have been the Harper government at the bottom there, $47 million to set up Canada's largest biolab.
Yeah.
Something akin to the thing that they do in Winnipeg, that they have in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
and this was through Western Economic Diversification, a biosafety level 3 facility for large animals, so cattle, bison, for clinical trial vaccine work. Okay, sounds great. That's fine and dandy. But so they get this initial grant for $46 million, then they don't get any money for another well, I guess it's 12 years. They don't get any more money until 2019, and then they're looking for bovine tuberculosis in bison. So this is relevant. This is the transmission between species, like, do you have to worry about bison farms transmitting TB to cattle or back and forth? It's sort of like how we worry about elk farms and cattle farms side by side. What do we have to do there? And are they catching, and what is the potential to transmit it, like, to wild deer and stuff like that? So real research, especially if the vaccines can then be given to the cattle to make sure that that transmission doesn't happen. Then boom, 2022 hits, 76 million, 46 million.
Wild. Just absolutely wild. VIDO was launched in 1975 and is home to more than 200 scientists and other staffers, and is a key player in the global fight against pandemics. It's a partner in the 100 Days Mission, an initiative endorsed by G20 countries to create new vaccines. Now listen to this, guys, within 100 days of a pandemic threat being recognized. Now, what could go wrong there? What could go wrong? Rushing out vaccines within 100 days of identifying a pandemic. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. So anyways, if you're wondering about people who are cheerleading for this stuff, follow the money. That's my advice.
$1,000,000,000%. That's hundreds of millions of dollars going to 200 academics and staffers at the University of Saskatchewan. Insane.
Yeah, just follow the money. It's in their best interests to make sure that these sort of policies remain in place, and they will be vicious in shutting up anybody who disagrees with them.
Well, they have also VIDO, or some of its representatives have also blamed U.S. President Donald Trump after he cut billions of dollars in grants provided by the National Institutes of Health. So they've lost their fancy partners in the United States who have been defunded because of the terrible, awful, no good things they did in COVID. And yet, here we have this group of people up there at the University of Saskatchewan getting insane, filthy, stinking rich, doing the same.
You would think that somebody who works at a lab created to develop vaccine technology for large animals would have said, hey,
what a great opportunity for us to study,
exactly,
to study the ostriches,
to do the thing we're paid to do.
Yes, the ag program at the University of Saskatchewan is one of the best ag programs in the world.
Yep.
And they have an urban farm right in the middle of Saskatchewan, barns and everything. They absolutely could have volunteered to study these birds, and instead they backed up the policy of the CFIA. It's actually quite disturbing. It's actually quite disturbing. Yeah.
Let's go to this next CTV story, and I only care about it insofar as the headline is an abomination and lie. Something is rotten, says U.S. billionaire who funded the BC ostrich farm legal defense. If you go into the article, which they've now changed, that's right. Let's go down. But the tweet remains that he funded the protests, which are two drastically different things. So the very first paragraph is, the article's headline has been updated to correct that John Castamatidis' funding went to the farm's legal defense. Supporters of the BC ostrich farm say they are looking at next steps after this Canadian Food Inspection Agency culled more than 300 ostriches this week. He said they're looking for truth and justice. Something is rotten at the CFIA in Ottawa, and I think this requires an investigation by an outside force. Ooh. But he didn't explain what that meant. But if you look at the tweet linked to this article, to promote this article, it says, something is rotten, says U.S. billionaire who funded BC ostrich farm protests. So they initially said that he funded the protest. Now they've gone back and they've altered the article. But this was out. They tweeted this out like 8 times erroneously.
And so the people that were at the protest are being labeled
as funded, yeah,
by a billionaire oligarch from America. Okay.
Right. No, we don't see. Look at this. This is up right now.
People were sleeping in the back of truck beds. If there was a billionaire involved, okay.
No, it was like donated food.
This was a grassroots protest.
Yes. Yeah, but the left can't understand that because they don't do anything out of principle.
They do not.
They have to be paid to do it. They can't fathom that people would do it because they care about it.
Who would just show up to bear witness. No, they would not understand that. In any case, we invite billionaires like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love these American billionaires who aren't scared to be conservative.
Oh, just the best. Like, we need a couple Canadian billionaires to step up.
Yeah. I mean, we have very few rich people who are brave enough to be conservative in this country. Brett Wilson is one of them.
Also that haven't been chased out of the country because of overtaxation.
Right. Mr. Wonderful. Right? Like, he's gone. Yes. And it's because they all want to be invited to the fancy party circuit.
Right.
And if you are a conservative, well, I'm sorry, you can't come have dinner with the Supreme Court Justice.
Interesting, isn't it?
Let's go to the UN Climate Change Conference. Juno's there right now. Walid Tantam is there. Graduate, by the way, of the Student Journalism Conference put on by the Democracy Fund and the Independent Press Gallery. Environmental activists are sounding the alarm. The government is spending millions on fake trees while the real ones are being cut down. This is a delight.
Oh.
The installations were placed along major roads around the convention area as part of a beautification effort ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Conference. At the same time, aerial and on-the-ground images published by Sumama show real trees were being removed in several locations to make way for infrastructure upgrades. In some cases, concrete was poured over newly cleared areas to install decorative structures. I love this. I love this. I'm not anti-highway by any means. And they built a highway through the Amazon to get the fancy people to their little fancy conference. They've also decided that there's not enough hotel rooms in town. So they are bringing in cruise ships, which operate on bunker fuel. One of the, if you care about this stuff, and I really don't, but bunker fuel is like the leftover from diesel production. It's not very fuel efficient. And those are going to be housing all the delegates. And I should tell my flights to there, because I'm going with Key and
So she's
Simone.
going.
Oh, I'm going because we're not just going to read articles about what's happening on the ground in Brazil. You're going to see it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to be in front of the fiberglass tree like this.
I can't wait.
I'm going to be showing you the highway. I'm going to show you all the cut down trees. I'm going to find the private airstrip where everybody is coming in. I'm going to show you all the cruise ships. I am going to show you what these climate change conferences do to the areas that they come to. I'm going to show you as much as I can. I am actually accredited to be inside of the conference, which sounds hideous and boring, and it is because I've been accredited for one of them. But I want to be able to show you what's inside the American Pavilion. And the only way to do that is to be accredited. I really don't want to sit in the media room with the like True Believe in Media, and there's stickers of like fight climate change all over their laptops. I don't want that. And
nobody wants that for you, Sheila Gunry. Okay, none of us want that for you. No, we want to see the hypocrisy on full display. Okay, we want to see the highways that they bulldozed through the rainforest to build to get all of these people here. We want to see the 50,000 attendees who are flying into this conference.
Those are just the official delegates, by the way. There's like maybe 50% as many more just activists who are out there being anti-car but flying, you know, basically circumnavigating the globe to come to these things.
I mean, these people could go to a climate conference via Zoom. They could do that. That's an option for them. But no, let's fly 50,000 elitists from around the world into this pristine environment in the middle of the Brazilian rainforest.
It's at the mouth of the Amazon. Okay.
And to lecture the rest of the world on how to use less, how to be better, and how to change the weather. Like it is craziness. Wonder Catherine McKenna was there. I saw Catherine McKenna sweating her. Nobody. I'm sorry, Catherine McKenna sweating to the oldies from the Brazilian rainforest just absolutely got me. I mean, I love it. I hope you run into Stephen Guilbeault and his entire entourage, because Canada, we have to find out, do we know how many Canadian delegates are going from the government?
Roughly 225. And those are just the official government delegation. That doesn't mean all the busybody activists. And when you know at the World Wildlife Fund, Gerald Butts' former racket, they're going too.
That's an entire jet they're sending.
They're not all going on the same jet. I should tell you this too. My flights were atrociously expensive. And you should see the milk run that I have to do just to get out of there. Like I have to stop in Mexico twice to get out of there. So like fly from Belém to another Brazilian city, from that Brazilian city to a city in Mexico, then another city in Mexico. And then I think to Toronto, if I recall correctly. And then from Toronto to Calgary to Edmonton. And the reason for that is, I don't know, 75,000 people flying into the city and then back out again. And so like what would normally be, you know, like a $1,500, $2,000 flight, it's like $4,000. Like it's crazy. People, if you want to help offset our costs, I'm not going alone. I'm going with Key and Simone. We are, like I said, I'm taking a milk run. Like the direct flights were like $9,000 to $14,000, and direct meaning like fly to Toronto to, I think Bogota to Belém. Like 9,000 to 14,000.
Holy Hannah.
For just regular flights. Like I'm not talking about first class, none of that stuff. So I opted for the milk run. And if you would like to help offset our economy class flights, please consider making a donation at rebelun.com.
I'm going to because I look forward to this so much.
I'm going to document my flights because I think like that's part of the story is it's so carbon intensive just to get there. Like it is so like drive to the airport, get on the plane, fly to Calgary to Toronto, hook up with Key and Simone, fly to Bogota, from Bogota, fly to another city in Brazil, then from the city in Brazil into Belém. And it's like, excuse me?
I'm just wild, and I'm so excited that Kian Simone is going too, because Kian has an extraordinary eye for capturing super interesting things on, like, he is a brilliant documentarian and a young guy. I can't wait to see what Kian Simone is going to do on this trip, because if anybody is going to have a bird's eye view of the crazy hypocrisy, it's going to be Rebel News viewers. So rebelun.com, you say?
Yes, rebelun.com. Please help offset the cost of my flights. They are
I'm going to
outrageous.
donate right after this show. I invite the rest of our viewers, because you know what? I know that whatever I give, I'm going to get back in entertainment value,
You are
like within the first 30 hours.
Well, and I have when I go to these things, I notice things that the true believers don't notice, because I care about my electricity bill, right? Like, so I notice when there's like excessive electricity happening around here. And I do the same at these climate change conferences. Like, for example, many of you know, I'm a farmer, but I'm also but literally all the men in my family are in the oil patch in some form. So I know the majestic hum of a diesel light tower. I would know it anywhere, right?
This is the best.
I love it. I'm always watching auction sales, because I'm like, we need a light tower of our own around here.
I know where you can get one, but the low din of a diesel generator powering,
just
it's
when
music to my ears. It's like a lullaby.
When we were in Germany, I was like, oh, I know that noise anywhere. And I saw the cords laying on the ground. I'm like, we're following these cords. What did we find? The diesel generator powering the light towers that are powering the climate change conference, where we're all supposed to starve in the dark. And when we were in Marrakesh, Morocco, that was like the first and last time we were allowed into the media room. I thought I was going to get Legionnaire's disease from the air conditioning being so high. I like shivered. We're in the desert. I'm shivering. My nose is running. I'm getting like a cough because the air conditioning was so high. Like, I thought I should get some gloves to work on my laptop. My hands were getting stiff.
Sheila, we can't expect these highfalutin climate journalists to be uncomfortable at these exotic locales. You notice how they never hold these climate conferences in like Peoria, in
Fort
Winnipeg?
You know, the closest they came to it was Katowice, Poland. And I thought that was an odd choice, until I realized the people of Katowice wanted the tourism dollars. And they got the tourism dollars, that's for sure. But then Katowice is a coal mining city. And so when they had the opening ceremony for this thing, in like top tier trolling, the likes of which I don't think we'll see again in our lifetime, they opened okay, first of all, they put the climate change conference next door to the Coal Miners Museum. So I was like, I'm going to the Coal Miners Museum.
I know
That's
where I'm
more
going.
interesting to me. But they opened the ceremonies with the Coal Miners Marching Band. And I was like, my goodness, that is like Trump level trolling.
Yes, a beautiful troll by the Poles. The Poles know how to troll. Yeah.
They do know. You know, and Katowice was like, it's a city of 80,000. You can get 50,000 foreign busybodies into your city to spend some money, for sure.
And make no mistake, every one of these climate conferences is an absolute boon to the local economy. What's happening in Brazil that they needed to what's happening in Brazil that they needed to get 50,000 pieces of good PR. Like, what is happening in the background there? Because these conferences,
the gang war. Like, there's the gang war happening in Rio right now, where the cartels take over entire neighborhoods, and the cops are saying enough. The government, which has been seized by leftists after they went after Bolsonaro, the Brazilian Trump. So the leftists are in charge. They're not doing anything about the cartels, and the police have had enough. So they're going into these cartel-controlled neighborhoods and liberating the neighborhoods by any means necessary, including killing hundreds of cartel members in extrajudiciary executions in one night. So that's happening in places like Rio, okay? And so tourism, you could say, is down in those areas. So this is a big deal for Brazil to have all these these busybodies flying in.
Well, climate conferences are PR stunts. That's what they are.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what
for
they are.
everybody involved, the host country, but also the delegates too.
Yeah, because the delegates are certainly not going to witness any of the cartel violence. They're not gonna witness any of the executions that are happening in the night. They are just going to have a very, very, very cushy time going from their cruise ship onto their shuttle bus to the conference and then back to the cruise ship.
Oh,
so
one of my
interesting.
favorite stories in these places is to find the parking lot of idling limos. I must remember to send Kian a message that that's what we would do. Because, you know, when it was Morocco, it was idling limos with air conditioning on, and they would just idle all day, waiting for the fancy people to come out. And then when it was in Germany and Poland, was the idling to keep them comfortable. So when they came out, they wouldn't have to deal with, you know, the +8 degrees. They would just get into the car and drive away whenever they felt like. But these vehicles would idle all day
at the climate conference.
At the climate conference.
That will tell you that non-renewables are the most evil thing.
Yeah, or these people are the reason that you have that like start stop button on your car that you have to turn off because you're tired of your vehicle turning off at stoplights. I just think of your poor spark plugs, by the way. Turn that thing off. Anyways, I'll be there.
I can't wait.
And it's
can't wait.
rebelun.com. Please help me offset my flights. They're just a catastrophe.
I challenge all of our viewers to do the same. Okay, it will make up for itself in entertainment value within the first day. Okay, the rest is just bonus gravy for us.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yep. All right, let's go to. I'm going to skip over the don't call it free Medicare. Let's go to this National Post, and then we'll do the Daily Cringe. So, National Post article. This is quite something. Indigenous man caught with killing machine of a rifle, killing machine in quotes, their words, not mine, gets time served due to intergenerational trauma. What does that even mean? A sentence reduction is not a reflection of a judge being soft on crime, said the judge, trying to obviously excuse his bad ruling here. It is our obligation, no, it's not, to address, redress, and hopefully ameliorate institutionalized abuse. By what? Letting this guy off easy?
Yep, because of ancestral trauma. This is where you make up bad things about things that may have happened to your great grandparents, and then use those stories that you just made up to make yourself look and appear more like a victim. And the judge bought it hook, line, and sinker. Suicidal empathy on display. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Instead of weighing the risks to the community, safeguarding the public, the judge erred on the side of the trauma of the ancestors and let this guy off with a little more than a slap on the wrist.
Lots of people have intergenerational trauma. It's not an excuse to break the law. Not, especially if it didn't actually happen to you. Like if it happened to somebody else, how is it your excuse to break the law?
There literally is no such thing as intragenerational trauma. You can't feel the terrible, no good, bad things that happened to your ancestors whom you never met and didn't know. You can't. Interesting. Well, there's another example. Canadian justice system.
Yeah, I just put a post in the chat. Olivia, if we can bring that up, because this is exactly what we're talking about. My paternal great-grandfather abused my grandfather. My grandfather was a combat veteran who struggled with alcohol and emotionally abused his son, my father, until the last few years of his life. It negatively affected my father and in turn me. Can I have a machine gun? Exactly. Exactly that. What happened to other people is not an excuse for your own behavior. And even if it happened to you, it doesn't give you the ability to break the law. Like it just doesn't.
And yet we have a judicial system that prioritizes that trauma.
Guys, the poppy is political though, but the poppy is political. Same judges.
Right.
crazy. I know. I'm trying to, I think that's good. Anything else we can talk about tomorrow? I think we have a special guest on the panel tomorrow. I'll text you.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of, no, we've got a cringe, but we'll get to that in a second. It's the veteran related cringe. Okay. But let's go through some of the chats. We've got the Real Dawn 1969 gives us $100. What the heck? Look who's back again, me. Well, thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. Thanks so much.
Yep.
That's a nice little vote of confidence there. The Real Dawn 1969.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you so much. Light Y7Z gives us $2 and says eggs going to Big Pharma. Thank you both in Rebel. Yeah, I don't know where they're going.
The ostrich eggs. Yeah. That would be my guess too.
Yeah, I think so. We've got.
Why else would they confiscate them? If they were going to destroy them, you don't think that they would have just thrown them in the kill pen and let everybody take pictures? No, of course they confiscated them and
they would have smashed them.
Yes,
right, they would have smashed them.
They would have destroyed them. Yeah.
Looks like they're trying to do some arresting down at the Bathurst and Shepherd ongoing Hamas cosplay that they do in the Jewish neighborhood there. News release: suspects sought in suspected hate-motivated threatening investigation, Bathurst and Shepherd Avenue West area. Image released on September 15th, 2025. It's November 11th, you guys. Police received a call for a harassment in the Bathurst and Shepherd area. It was reported that 3 youth victims were on a is she harassing young Jews? 3 youth victims were on a TTC bus in the area. The suspect engaged with the victims. The suspect made harassing comments to the victims. Female with blonde hair wearing a beanie hat.
Oh, that's a red flag, the beanie, okay? Along with those septum piercings. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward to Halloween. She does it again. Youth victim on a TTC bus. Suspect boarded the bus and engaged the victim, made harassing comments to the victim. Suspect is described as female with black hair, wearing a black jacket, red sweater, beanie. So she dyed her hair. Gonna have a tough time getting that box black out of her hair. And the investigation is being treated as a suspect motivated hate offense. And we've got an image of her.
She don't look friendly. That is not a friendly looking woman.
If you know her, let the police in Toronto know.
Yeah. Crime Stoppers.
Yep.
Waiting to hear from you.
Yep. Okay, let's go to chicletization, $27.99. Wow, thanks. Hey ladies, I just got back from watching the service. They did a good job representing our fallen soldiers. What happened at the ostrich farm will traumatize me for a while. My heart hurts so much for the family. Yeah.
It was just devastating to watch. It was just devastating to watch. And good for you for going or watching the service in Ottawa. And yeah.
The one thing I find very objectionable, but also a completely useless argument, is the people who say, well, they used to sell the ostriches for meat and oil, and so who cares if the birds die? What? And that is true, but that does that give the state the right to just come and kill them now? Is that it?
According to the state, yes. And it's an illogical argument.
They used to eat them. So now what? What do you mean, now what? Okay, so they ate an ostrich one time. Killed them all, I guess? That's it? That's your thing? Yeah. And they're like, well, they owe people money. Okay, so kill all the birds then? What does one have to do with the other, you guys? Quit sending me that stuff. Even if the rumors are true, what does it have to do with what the state did? Try that. Quit sending me that stuff. Come up with better arguments. It's very frustrating. I need better trolls. In 2015, the trolls were better. remember?
That was the glory days. That was the glory days. I mean, we just made fun of every single left-leaning actor,
I got a
bad
job
actor,
because of it.
Girl, you know
So
what the
did you.
crazy thing is? We've created an entire career out of making fun of the left, and they know it. They know it. They're like, what are these rebel girls doing
Right.
in startup?
You're ugly and I hate your face. Is usually what they tell me. I'm like, good argument, guys. I'm a liberal now. Thanks. I'm
Yeah.
lefty. You don't like my hair? Perfect. I'm a lefty now. Thanks for the strong arguments. You've really changed my mind about my worldview by insulting my appearance as if I care. Do I look like I'm someone who cares a lot about my appearance, by the way? Do I? Like at all?
I mean, honestly,
No.
the feedback we get is pretty hilarious. But no, this is how we started. This is what we're always going to do. It's kind of our brand.
Right.
And it works. It's effective because we know that the left hates it.
Yes.
We know that they hate it. They tell us all the time.
They tell me. Yeah, exactly. They're like, when they tell me how offensive I am to them, and I just like, okay, that offended them. Put it on the list for next time. I'm gonna do more of that.
You're gonna be doing a little bit more. Thanks so much. Yeah, no, we take their feedback and we just run with it. We lean
I do
in
take the
hard.
feedback. I do definitely take the feedback. And then I carefully craft the next obnoxious thing I'm going to do around that.
I love it.
It's like focus grouping.
It works for us, man. Like, do what how do you know? Sheila Gunn Reid taught me this. This is a life lesson I'll never forget. She says to Sheila Gunn Reid, I love making my enemies mad. How else do I know that I'm doing the right thing? And I went, hey, this is my way now. Yes.
Yeah. I love when bad things happen to bad people. And I love being part of a movement that helps those bad things happen to bad people.
Me too.
And I love when bad people don't like me.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Very much.
No skin off my back.
Let's do the Daily Cringe, and this is from a week ago. This is from Canada Proud. It's our top general crying during an apology for systemic racism in the armed forces. Regardless of what you think about systemic racism in the armed forces, this woman is not emotionally strong enough to be our top general. Please, let's watch.
Systemic racism, racial discrimination, and harassment are an affront to these values, and yet we allowed these injustices to occur and fester within our ranks. Therefore, on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, I offer my most sincere and deepest apologies. I apologize to every CAF member, veteran who experienced racism, discrimination, and harassment.
What?
And I acknowledge we failed you. Systemic racism.
Could you imagine a 4-star general in the United States, weeping at a microphone, apologizing for hurting people's feelings? Could you imagine that ever happening in 1 million years?
Well, Pete Hegseth called them all fat and lazy a couple weeks ago.
Pete Hegseth is like, back to the gym.
Right. Like he said, that basically, you're not tough enough. You're not strong enough. You're not resilient enough. And you're going to get better or get gone.
He literally said to the generals, you are being a bad influence on the young men and women in our armed forces, and you must be leaders. You're going to get off your butts, get to the gym, get in good physical condition, and then they will follow you. How embarrassing. I don't even want to know this woman's name, okay, because she's not even worth the time of knowing. This is just like an absolute embarrassment on the world stage. Could you imagine being a bad actor who has evil intentions for Canada and then seeing this mental case weeping into her hanky about historical racial injustices? Can you imagine?
Right. You can apologize for historical racial injustices, apparently, if you probably have a lawsuit coming down the pipe at you and you're trying to mitigate that, which is probably the case here, which is probably what prompted the apology.
And then in the background of that lawsuit is a federally funded legal NGO, like they do. So the federal government pays a legal NGO to launch an action against the government. That's what they do. It is a circle jerk of such huge proportions in Canada. It happens all the time. But in any case, how embarrassing. Just how embarrassing.
Right. You're not emotionally resilient enough to be commanding anybody or anything. And just to prove my point, here's Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War in the United States, who is just an absolute Chad of a guy.
He's a dreamboat. I love Pete Hegseth. Like, show me more. Ooh, look at him.
Calling all the generals fat.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test.
Think that lady could pass your PT test? Or is she a chairborne general?
I don't think she would hit the height requirement either. You know what I mean? Because nothing says chairborne, airborne, or chairborne. I mean, Canada's a joke. Canada's a joke. And here's just another example for you guys.
Oh.
Weeping over historical racial discrimination.
We have one more. We have General Milley, who, okay, so this is why Pete Hegseth is like this now. Because General Milley, who is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he testified before Congress about white rage and the government being too woke. So now we've got Pete Hegseth saying, you guys are fat and ridiculous. But this is how Pete Hegseth is fixing this.
I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that, because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed.
What
and we had a
does that
Civil
have to
War
do
and
with
Emancipation
anything?
Proclamation to change it.
Historical
And we brought it up to the
racism,
Civil Rights
Sheila.
Act in 1964. It took another
Right.
100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets. But I want to know.
Pete Hegseth wanders in, listen, lard ass. You know.
So that's from 2021.
Peak woke time, right? Peak
the
wokery.
worst of the throes of wokeism. The Democrats really thought that there would never be a Republican in power again. The pendulum swung all the way back, and instead of like, I need to understand white rage and I object to you calling the military woke, to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, saying you're fat.
And I've studied, I've read Karl Marx, and I've read the Communist Manifesto or whatever he said there. And this is a guy that thinks this is going to be widely embraced by the new sheriff in town. Nope. Oh, Pete Hegseth, send him off to a cushy retirement and be done. Don't let him be an advisor or a consultant for the next 15 years. He should be disqualified. That guy should be disqualified from influencing anything.
Can't pass the PG test, so off you go.
Yes.
Off to pasture. Okay, let's wrap up the show. What time am I supposed to talk to you for TGS? In a half an hour? Is that right?
No, I think it's 3:00 my time, 2:00 your time.
2:00. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. That the time change. It's like weeks out now, and I have no idea what the time is anywhere else.
We're going to be doing this for months and months. Me and Shaylee, we do not know how time zones work, and we're not going to learn. Okay, we have other things that are to dedicate in our brains. Time zones are not one of them. We're just going to do this for the next 6 months until we're on the same time zone again. Yes.
I'm scared of figuring out the time zone in Brazil when I get there. And I'm going to be on multiple time zones before I get there. Like I'm just crisscrossing the country like a shoelace. Down the bulk of North America and then through South America. That's how I have to be. And I'm already frightened. And I'm just going to gravel myself and wake up when I get to wherever I'm getting to. Let's wrap up the show. We'll talk about anything that we missed tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Buffalo panel on Western Wednesdays, where it's myself, Lise, and two normally interesting Western-based thinkers on topics of Western alienation and other things happening, basically west of Winnipeg. And I think that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Lise, thanks so much. I'll talk to you very soon. Everybody working behind the scenes at Rebel News, thanks for being so quick on the draw with the things that we called for today. Thanks to those of you who pitched in, and some of you had some big super chats today, so thank you so much for that. We couldn't do it without you. For those of you who need a more affordable price point, consider sharing the stream or engaging with the stream. The more comments you leave, the more you send it off to somebody else, the higher they put us on the YouTube and other social media algorithms. It helps us get around that big tech censorship. So very free and very helpful to us. And as we've been saying around here, if you find us offensive, maybe you don't find us at all. Big news! Rebel News now has premium memberships on X, Locals, and right here on YouTube. For just $4.99 a month on YouTube, you'll get loyalty badges, custom emojis, and access to members-only chats during our live streams. At $8.99 a month, you'll also unlock Rebel News Plus shows and our documentaries. But here's the catch. YouTube could cancel that premium tier at any time. That's why the best way to support us is at rebelnewsplus.com. It's just $8 a month, cheaper if you go annual, and you'll get exclusive extras like an ad-free site, comments access, and even the chance to submit op-eds. Wherever you join us, thanks for keeping our independent journalism alive and strong.